I didn't have a problem with really what she was saying to KK. It's a valid question. Like, are you sure it's a big decision? All those sort of things, which makes 100% sense, right? But kind of where I draw the line is, after KK had given her explanation many times, the question was asked, many times. It just didn't seem like there was going to be any end to it. So that's when I feel like, I'll step in and say something, right? KK's my friend.
How are you adjusting to life outside of the villa?
Honestly, it's definitely a bit different, but I'm loving it. Just getting back into the swing of things, getting back into the routine feels amazing.
And how long ago was it that you got dumped from the villa to now?
What day is it today?
It's the 28th of August, on Monday.
So it's been what, less than like 10 days or so, something
Wow.
around there.
Okay. Yeah, all the days are like muddling together to me. Like I can't believe it's Labor Day next week. It's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so Mike, we have a lot to talk about, especially with that whole red wedding episode situation there. So I want to get right into it because it's what a lot of people are talking about. Obviously,
Mhm.
the whole with the Sarah Hyland thing, you saw her standing up there. She was asking KK if she was sure about her decision, and then you did step in. So can you take us through that moment and from your point of view?
Yeah, so obviously, this situation has a bit of controversy around it. It's, a lot of people are wondering what kind of went on. And, I'm not sure that the full story was told via the episode. I'm going to keep 100% honest. I haven't even watched the episode since I left the villa. But I've definitely seen some of the clips and everything. And from what I've seen, the clips from the official Love Island Instagram account, it didn't seem to tell like the 100% of the full story. I definitely did say what I said. Um, and essentially I said what I said because, I know Sarah Hyland is the host and it's her job to ask questions. It's literally what she's getting paid and, is on Love Island for, right? To basically ask all the Islanders questions. And I didn't have a problem with really what she was saying to KK. It's a valid question. Like, are you sure it's a big decision? All those sort of things, which makes 100% sense, right? But, kind of where I draw the line is, after KK had given her explanation many times, the question was asked, many times. It just didn't seem like there was going to be any end to it. So that's when I feel like, I'll step in and say something, right? KK's my friend. I feel like it's kind of putting her like in a weird position to kind of have to make her repeat herself so many times. It's an uncomfortable position to, have to see your friend in. So, I spoke up on her behalf. In a way, sure, I was speaking up on Keenan's behalf as well, right? Because I feel like, some of the tone, and the inflection and the couple of times she said the questions sounded like, sure you want to go with Keenan after like everything, almost like it was kind of pressuring KK to change her mind. And I didn't see KK changing her mind anytime soon. So, it's kind of when I stepped in and said what I said.
So you more took issue with maybe like the amount of times that she said it or just kind of pressing the issue in that situation?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's very. Yeah.
And how many like take us like how many times did she ask it? Like a few times or like what was going on there? Because from our point of view too, watching it, like I would have been like, okay, KK, are you sure too? After everything that we did get to see, maybe not so many times, but yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, after you see KK's decision to leave, the first thing that goes to your mind is, KK, really, are you sure? This is a great opportunity. You're in Love Island, it's once in a lifetime. You want to leave? And then, like, once she gave her speech and her reasoning why, she said she found what she was looking for. She wanted to kind of just be done with the whole situation. And if Keenan wasn't in the villa, then neither was she. So after that point, I was like, okay, she made her decision. It wasn't easy on her. Obviously, a lot of thoughts were racing through her mind at the time, but let's respect her choice. She's a very intelligent woman. And there's a lot of things that happen on and off camera. So I feel like, even America was like, hey, really, are you sure? After everything that you and Keenan have been through, right? Because they definitely had their ups and downs in their relationship. I'm not saying they've been perfect, but, a lot of great stuff happens, both on and off camera. And their relationship was super solid at the time. So it was kind of unreasonable to expect her to stay, honestly. And as soon as I saw, Keenan get eliminated, I figured she was right behind him. And then that's when she gave her speech and said, like, if he's going, I'm going too.
Mm-hmm. And so even in that situation too, what happened in like the direct aftermath of that? Like, was it very tensionful? Because I know even Leo kind of stepped into her to apologize on your behalf. So what was going on in the situation?
Yeah, I actually had no clue what Leo was saying. Like I could see him visibly like lean over, but he was kind of far away. So it
Mm-hmm.
sounded like a faint whisper. It wasn't until I'd seen the clip on Instagram later that, I saw Leo saying what he said, which, me and Leo we were very close in the villa. We have like a very strong relationship. So obviously, if he can see that this situation might paint me in a bad light, he'd want to step in, as a friend and try to like, just kind of just ease the tension because it did cause a bit of tension when I said what I said. But I don't mind, causing the tension because in a way it kind of took some of that pressure off of KK. And I don't mind the heat being on me. I'm like a very honest guy and I'm very honest with myself. As long as I know I love myself, my family loves me, my friends love me, God loves me. I don't really care about anybody else's opinion, honestly. It may sound bad to say, but, those are the things I value. And, as long as I'm good with my friends, family, and God, I'm okay with being the villain in everybody else's eyes. So.
Okay. I mean, I can kind of relate to you because I'm the kind of person who in that situation, I also would be like, I'm going to speak my mind without even like giving it a second thought. So I'm sure like you just were very passionate about the situation. And do you think looking back on it, would you do anything differently or would you do it the same? Anything like that?
Um, yes, I would do something differently. I'm not sure if I can say why, but I'll say it. You guys can use a clip or not if you want. I would do something differently. I would still interject and say what I said, but I might change the wording so it'd be a bit harder to clip up on Instagram.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
Instead of saying that sounded a bit disrespectful, I said that sounded mad disrespectful. I'd say, she stated many times already how she feels. Can we just leave it at that?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That might be harder to take out of context, and that sounded mad disrespectful.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is there anything that you would say to even Sarah Hyland today or anything to the fans who have been very vocal about the situation?
I mean, I did issue an apology to Sarah Hyland. That's what everybody wants to know. I don't believe it was a public apology. I don't believe they're going to air it in the episode. But, I don't, honestly, I doubt that Sarah Hyland ever gave me a second thought, essentially to her. I'm just another Islander, and kind of to me, she was just a host. So that was our dynamic. Once, amends were made, apologies were said. We kind of left it at that.
You apologized in the house, like to her in the house, or like to the camera, like almost like a confessional.
Yeah. So once you leave the villa, you do like an interview,
Mm-hmm.
and the producers let me know like we're gonna have Sarah Hyland watching on your interview. So if you want to say anything to her, then you can just say it in your exit interview. So it was a bit of a production, lights, cameras everywhere, but I did make my apology, and she definitely listened in. So.
Okay. So you haven't heard anything back about that situation, or is that kind of where we're going to leave it?
I mean, that's where I'm going to leave it. The producer said they're going to make sure that Sarah Hyland is listening in on the apology. So just kind of say your piece, and I said my piece there. I definitely said it was like a heat of the moment thing. I didn't mean to disrespect her. And here's where I feel like some of the fans had an issue. They thought that, I was in the mindset that Sarah Hyland herself was a disrespectful host, which is not the clue, not the case. I'm sorry. What I had the issue with was just the way it sounded, and just like the repetition of the question multiple times. It just sounded a bit disrespectful, and I'm sure that wasn't her intention, but that's just the way it sounded. So that's why you can probably pull up the clip. I believe I said that sounded mad disrespectful because with my upbringing, my background, when somebody makes up their mind and you ask them a couple times, you just can leave it at that. And anything past that can be perceived as disrespect. That's just somebody with my cultural upbringing, my background, the way that we might perceive it. So that's exactly how I did. And what most people don't know is actually after that incident went down, I like kind of, went like that across my heart. And everybody's like, oh, he's been pounding his chest, acting like a big bad guy. But I looked over at KK and Keenan when I did that, and then they did it right back. Like we were locked in, we were in the same mindset. And after everything went down, KK even thanked me for saying what I said. Keenan even thanked me for, saying what I said, because they did feel, a bit of pressure, and they did feel a bit of tension. And that kind of just helped, I guess, take some of that pressure off of them.
Right. Yeah. And I think this will definitely clear a lot of things up, especially with the fans viewing it. Obviously, we only get to see a small portion of what goes on in the villa. So this definitely will give a different perspective on things, I'm sure. And so let's transition into, of course, more of the romance side of things from your time in the villa there. You had some connections brewing. You had one with Destiny, had another one with Hannah O. So I want to start with Destiny. Where do you think things kind of fizzled out in your relationship there?
I feel like, things may have taken a left turn with my relationship with Destiny after the movie night, really around the time of movie night. So Destiny and I had been in, pretty much constant conversation. And where I was at was, I was very interested in Destiny still, even though I was coupled up with Hannah O. But, I was kind of waiting on Destiny to make up her mind because she had also brought back somebody from Casa Amor. She had brought back 𝐒𝐲. So I was kind of in limbo, waiting for her to, make up her mind. Are we going to just be friends? Are we going to pursue our connection romantically? And I'd asked her that. And she was like, I don't know. Like, I just need time to think. You're kind of putting me on the spot here, which I can respect. So I kind of gave her time to think. And then, movie night happened. And that definitely caused a bit of tension between Destiny and I. We did talk after. We kind of squashed that whole situation as well. We both agreed, like, we could have said some things differently. We could have reacted maybe a different way. And that kind of it kind of was a sense of ease over both of us that okay, fresh start. We're just going to wipe the slate clean. And then the dumping happens and I get dumped from the villa. So, big question mark there on Destiny and I, honestly.
Question mark there. So maybe leave that door open with her, or?
Yeah, I'd say that the door is still open, actually. When I was leaving, she was like, shoot me a message on Instagram. And I actually did it a couple of days ago and I messaged her. And we've been talking, here and there. I think all the Islanders are planning a big trip to, some city. So hopefully she goes on that trip and we can see each other face to face again and kind of hash things out once and for all. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wouldn't say that the door in Destiny might get shut forever. I'd say, just kind of up in the air for usual.
I love this update here. That's kind of surprising to me. Because we didn't see I guess you guys make up after that situation or fully, I guess, where you guys left things off. So, okay. Where does that leave things with Hannah O, though?
So Hannah O and I, we've had very open and honest communication. At least that's what, my goal was the entire time. So I always told her how I felt about Destiny. I told her that, I needed Destiny to kind of make up her mind and let me know if we're going to close the door and just be friends or if we're going to pursue the connection. And I intended to, pursue the connection with Hannah O. And Destiny, and my mindset was, in the end, the strongest connection will win. I did have more time with Hannah O than I had, with Destiny. So Hannah O and I are still good. We still talk. We're still exploring our connection. We're being very realistic about it. She's over there in Florida. I'm over here in Texas. So we're just taking things one day at a time. And, I believe in the interview the other day, she alluded to a mystery connection in one of her interviews. So she's kind of exploring another connection as well. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't believe she disclosed that. Mm-hmm. But, very real and kind of the same mindset we had in the villa. Feel free to, explore connections. But at the end of the day, we all know the strongest connection is going to win. So, once you can figure out where your head and your heart is at, just go that direction. And if it's with me, she'll go with me. If it's with somebody else, she'll go with somebody else. So we're just taking things one day at a time. And honestly, we have a good friendship. So, no matter which way things go, I'll definitely be seeing more Hannah O in the future.
Oh, it sounds like your Love Island experience isn't really ending there. It seems like it's TBD or to be continued.
That's started. Things are getting very, very interesting very quickly, honestly.
Oh, okay.
You've kept up with my Instagram, but I've actually been hanging out with Emily a bit here and there.
Okay. Oh I'm glad that you brought that up because when I spoke to her, it sounded like you guys did have some kind of tension there. So is there, I guess, a positive light at the end of the tunnel for you too?
Yeah. Did you see her interview with After the Island?
Yes, I did.
So I'm sure you saw the comment she made about me.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I am kind of a hard guy to read. And that whole situation basically came about because of, miscommunication, right? There's times where she'd ask me some things and I just answered very bluntly. And she kind of took that as me being a bit of a mean guy, even though I just was trying to be as truthful as I could be. So it definitely was a bit of miscommunication. And it wasn't until after I saw her interview with After the Island that I was like, oh, she doesn't like me. Okay. This is news to me. So, you know, I brought it up to her. I made like an Instagram story. I tagged her, I DM'd her. We were talking back and forth. And then we just decided, like, let's just squash the beef. You know, it was a big misunderstanding. And then, you know, I called her. We talked for a bit. She came over. We shot a YouTube video. We squashed our beef completely. And we've been hanging out for like almost like the past week straight, literally. Yeah.
Also, do you think, is it friendship vibes, romance vibes?
I don't know. All I'm gonna say is
I mean, I see by that smile. I think it's going to the romance section here, but I don't know. That was a big smile there, Mike.
I say it's good. It's really good vibes. You know, I never realized, you know, in the villa how much of an amazing girl she was because our paths didn't cross too many times, and when they did cross, it was like a good attention. So, you know, now that I'm like getting a chance to see her personality, she's amazing. You know, we're very similar. We're very different. It's really fun. But yeah, she's also exploring her connection with Harrison. So we're taking things a day at a time. I'm not really going to say like we have a romantic connection or a friendship connection, but we do have a connection now. And that's something that I couldn't say a week ago when we were kind of beefing. So I'm just taking things one day at a time and you know, just loving life right now. Just happy to be alive.
Yeah, I love hearing that with you and Emily too, because that was one of the things that we talked about in our interview too, is that you guys had some kind of miscommunication or something like that. So that's really nice to hear. And yeah, thank you, Mike, for sharing everything about your Love Island journey. This is I'm sure this will give fans a different perspective of you as well, because even in your time in the Love Island Villa, I feel like we didn't get to see too much of you. We saw some connections, but we didn't really get to see too much of who Mike is. So we get to hear a lot of these different updates from you.
Yeah, I'm glad I could, you know, hopefully clear the air a bit about some things.
Yes, for sure. I think that you definitely did. And I really appreciate you taking the time, and this, especially with the Sarah Hyland stuff, it's not like the easiest stuff to talk about or the most, you know, fun thing. So I really appreciate you taking the time and really giving me the scoop here.